Don't you watch television and just sometimes go, I can do better than that? We're stealing from Alton Brown, obviously, but I wouldn't just make a video stealing the exact same recipe that Alton Brown did. No. I want to do it better. And in fact, healthier. Much like the ineptitude of the US government, I'm also kind of stupid. So we won't have a stove camera for this episode, unfortunately. I do everything for this show out of pocket. I run everything. I do the show production. All of this stuff you see around me it's just me. So honestly, if you guys want to help me, because this is becoming a fucking problem, please check out those affiliate links in the description down below. It is free money and it is free stocks. You have nothing to lose by using those apps, and we both get a kickback if you use that affiliate link down below. Honestly, look at the affiliate links down below. We both get a kickback if you use them. You get a little bit of free money, a little free cryptocurrency, and a little free stock. I'm like, you really don't lose anything, and it's a great way to support the channel without having to directly give me any money. Tell me if you were interested in watching some live streams, because I found this speaker and I think it'd be a great tool as a fun way to maybe create some cooking challenges, some cooking live streams. So if that's up your alley, hey, write a comment down below. I'll start live streaming these things. Are you sick of Italians? People who say they know how to make a good lasagna, people who say they are from Italy, and then they make the worst fucking pasta of your life? God, I worked in restaurants where we made the worst fucking lasagna you've ever imagined. And let me tell you something, after watching Alton Brown in this Mythbusters video, I am ashamed to have ever served somebody lasagna up until this point. I'm even gonna commit the Italian sin of using canned tomato sauce. So to put every Italian restaurant and my own mother's lasagna to shame, I'm just gonna put together the simplest lasagna you've ever seen, and you gotta do this, you gotta try this. So without any more delays, without any more talking, let's just get into it. So this is all the ingredients you need. I know, it looks like a lot, because it is. But that's not the point. We're trying to make something delicious here, so give me a fucking break. So instead of giving you the full breakdown of every little thing and every little piece, why don't we just construct the lasagna as best we can? Before anything, these are the two ingredients you want to be focusing on first. Pasta. Shit. As you can see, I pre-soak my noodles. I always give them a lot of cold water and salt. That way I get a nice stringy, ready to go piece. It's been sitting around for a day. It's got a nice lot of moisture. I don't want to worry about it. It might break up, but this is what I do. You can do yours differently. I pre-soak mine in cold, salty water. And then lastly, you want your beef at least somewhat thawed. Now, you can use ground beef. There's no law that says you have to follow everything I do exactly. But I prefer to go with some level of beef. And now calorically, this is gonna be heavy. Don't fool yourself. This isn't the most healthy option in the world, but it's damn sure better than anything you're gonna eat with shitty pre-ground stuff. So I actually like buying these, which they're a little bit of a day old when they're getting ready to throw these things out, because this has a ton of flavor and it's cheap. It's free almost sometimes. They seriously give this stuff away. Look at this stuff. $7.88. Sometimes they have a $3 off coupon. Can you pass that up? No. Don't waste your fucking beef. Respect the cow. It died for us to eat it. We shouldn't be wasteful of it. I'm gonna give you a secret. If you've never ground your own meat, everything goes in the freezer. You want your bits cold. You want the meat cold, you want your bits cold. It's too hot, this tends not to work out as fantastically. Now, right in the pan, underneath your grinder, if you've never done this before, throw it right into the pan and cook it until it's about 75% of the way done. Make sure you throw a little bit of oil in this pan if your beef is particularly lean. If you're working with something fattier, then don't add any oil. Honestly, it'll take away from the flavor of the beef itself. Now, I generally go for about a 6-speed on my KitchenAid. You can do whatever you want. Now I'm just gonna build a lasagna for you. It's ridiculously easy and you don't need that much time and effort. So let's start off with simple. Meat. There. Stove. 450 degrees. I know it says 100, not the point. So now you got your finely ground up beef. It should look like small pearls. Honestly, this is probably the best you're gonna get consistency wise. That's what I like. You can do it differently. Don't care. Here's where it gets really brutal. Start off simple. Just these 4 spices. But you're gonna go really heavy on the beef with this, and also because I'm using a leaner beef, I'm gonna add extra virgin olive oil. I recommend against something like peanut oil. I think the extra virgin olive oil, because we're gonna be doing something else, is gonna really play into our favor here. Whatever you think is right, because we're gonna be doing this in such a weird way. Honestly, your seasoning preference levels are what you're going for. I just like going with a nice healthy amount over the top. So that way it's got a nice chance to go through and really incorporate into every part of the meat, honestly. I like to go kind of heavy on this stuff. I feel like it doesn't have a lot of spice, but it adds a lot of depth and flavor. Now we're gonna put this on the stove, let that start cooking. I mean, if you had a stove cam, you'd be able to see it, but we don't got it. Putting that on a medium high, and now we're gonna essentially just season our vegetables, and I'll show you the vegetables while everything's cooking at the same time. This is the shit. This is what's gonna make your lasagna 10 times healthier, 10 times better than anything you've ever eaten. Especially with the fall time coming up, this is the shit. I got really thin sliced vegetables in here. We're gonna just start off with the basics: butternut squash, portobello mushroom, and I had zucchini in here, or yellow squash. So these are the vegetables we're just using. We have butternut squash. I sliced these super thinly. You keep these ones thin. You don't want them to be so big that you're chomping on them and shit. You want these to be nice and thin so that they blend together with everything, and you're gonna see why. And then I like a little bit of mushroom just to add a little earthiness. You honestly don't need the mushroom in my opinion, but really you should go with either asparagus or mushroom. It gives it a good fall vibe. It gives it just a nice little seasonal touch, and I think it makes it 10 times better. So ideally, you're just using whatever vegetables you want to do, but these are what I'm going to be making, and this is what I'm going to focus on. This is where all your seasoning goes. So just a little bit of olive oil. Because my beef is a little leaner in this one, I'm okay with using a bit more oil, but don't overwhelm it. You will fuck the whole thing up. Now, here's where everything goes in. The vegetables are the key season holder containment. I'm literally going to season these as I'm going through. You add as much as you want. This is all up to you. Don't use too much salt here because you've already salted your pasta. You've already salted your meat. You really don't want to add too much more. Ground ancho chili. Optional, but I'm going for a little bit of spice in this one. Gochujang Korean chili sauce. Red pepper flakes. Don't use too much of these again unless you're going for heat like I am. Basil, a lot of this. Oregano, Everclear. Not really, sorry. And then our last ingredient, which is a secret ingredient, which isn't going in here, it goes in later, capers. If you've never had capers, change your life. And then while that's finishing cooking, you just... So we've got our ingredients here. We got our meat, we got our veg, we got our pasta. That's what it's called. You didn't know that. So now I'm just gonna assemble it, but honestly, I'm not gonna talk while I assemble it. Just watch, do this yourself. It's too easy. So now you can put a little bit of spray on this pan if you want. I honestly don't bother with it, but we're just gonna build it now. Again, noodles are pre-soaked. Ideally not as much as these. They shouldn't be rubbery. They should just be softened. And I like to go with a full depressed layer. And then if you want to, if you're really good, if you're a master, you could do a crosshatch pattern. I will save that for the top. Put just a little bit of overlay. Stack the layers slightly over one another, not too much. Again, I like it rubbery. You do what you do. First layer, easy. Now we throw in the veg. Layer of pasta, layer of vegetable, now a little layer of meat. I go very light on this layer, very, very light. And then a little bit of ricotta cheese. Another spatula, give it just a thin layer of ricotta. Don't go overboard. Honestly, you're just using the ricotta to fill out the little bit of gaps. Try to give it like a bit of leveling, essentially. Don't use the ricotta as like a filler, use it as a leveler. This is essentially just filling to flatten out the surfaces because we're about to do something pretty awesome that I learned from Alton Brown. Please don't sue me. Now for the sin everyone was waiting for. A little bit of canned sauce. Not too much. Just go chill. Keep it a little chiller on the bottom because on the top it's going to be a lot more. And then another layer, but this time I'm going to cross-hatch my pasta if I can. And now this was the trick that Alton Brown said is press it down, but don't put too much force. Give it a nice even amount of pressure. Just get it nice and set. This just feels wrong. It feels like I'm committing a crime, like I'm touching another human's brain. And honestly, from this point on, do what you want. Do you want more meat? Do you want more veg? Do it. This is completely up to you. For me, I'm just gonna throw a bit more sauce on the base and a bit more cheese, and I'm gonna actually blend the two together, and then I'm just gonna keep fucking layering it, man. And I'm gonna go heavy with the meat this time because this is where I want most of my fat to really get down to the bottom of the pan, but honestly, it's because the liquid's gonna pool up on the top a bit, and you can't really help it that much. Now, here's the part we're gonna say. Secret ingredient time. Your meat is delicious. Throw capers on at this point. whichever section of your lasagna you're putting the most meat in, this is where you add your capers. And then finishing off with the top layer, a little bit more pasta. Just as a nice covering, doesn't gotta be pretty. You're just trying to protect all the meats. The pasta feels awful, by the way. Sitting in the fridge for that long, and then I threw a little bit more water, it feels like snot. It should be fine when it cooks all the way through, but I'm just like, oh God, it just feels wrong. Oh, it's gonna taste fucking delicious, unless the pasta doesn't actually cook up the way I need it to, in which case we might have a different problem, but I think honestly it'll cook up fine. Again, pushing down all the air and all that wonderful grease and cheese and sauce will come up, and it's gonna feel so bad. Ugh, I hate it so much. So here it is. It's a technically formed lasagna. I know it looks gross, but we'll give it a taste later. So from this point on, I would really recommend you throw a bit more cheese over here so you create a bit of like a cheese sealing, so that way you're sealing in the flavor. Maybe a little bit better. You're going to keep in a little bit moisture doing it that way. You might also burn the top, so make sure you cover it with aluminum foil if you do use a cheese. Because I don't have any extra cheese other than the ricotta, I'm just going to throw more meat over the top and leave it completely uncovered. A little more meat and just a pinch more sauce. Just a little. From here, straight in the oven for me, and then I'll see you when I do the taste test. Oh my God. Some nonsense like that. I would recommend going chill. These are quite heavy. That's fucking good though. I'm like, everything's got texture. It's got a little bite. It's got heat. It's got sauce. It's got flavor. All right. Well, I'm calling this a success.
Hell yeah.
I would say the biggest two things is less time soaking my noodles. That's a me thing. But for the sake of the recipe, works out just fine. And then I would say, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I said I would layer cheese on the top of it and then cover with aluminum foil, but we don't have any, so you get what you get.
Right.
But I'm giving that like a solid 8 out of 10. Needs improvement, but it's good.
I'm happy with it.
All right. That's that.